Some of these photographs are very strange indeed. The first image on today's list shows two children being hugged by a man in a rabbit costume on an old couch. This in itself doesn't seem all that disturbing. He was probably their dad or something, right? Well, maybe not. The children look distressed and appear to be crying and struggling to escape. Also, this doesn't look like a normal child-friendly rabbit mask. It almost looks lifelike. There could be a more sinister story behind this photograph, but it's one we will never know. In this next picture, we see a pighead smoking a cigarette, mounted on what appears to be the body of a child. But on closer inspection, we can see it is in fact a small mannequin. It is not so easy to tell what this mannequin has been made from, but the rigid look to the arms and legs suggest this is a man-made body. It sits atop a tiny chair. While the image is creepy on its own, it becomes far weirder when we think about the mind of the person who made it. Who was taking this photograph? Let's hope it was simply an abstract art project. This photograph shows a terrified child being held by two men who seem to be wearing some kind of satanic headwear. The men look dirty and the child has an Eastern European look, meaning this photograph may have come from somewhere such as Russia. The man on the right holds a chain and stares menacingly into the camera, while the man on the left seems to be watching the boy. Do we really want to know what happened after this photo was taken? There isn't much to say about this next picture. It appears to be of two young men standing on a mountainside in a remote location. Their eyes glow white, likely a Photoshop of a fairly normal image taken in low lighting. It has, nevertheless, gained a ghostly and unsettling appearance, and its discovery on the deep web only adds to its mystery. One of the hardest images to explain can be found here, with a photograph which seems to have been taken during some kind of pagan ritual. A man bows down as if praying, while a woman in a long white dress appears to be flying through the air or somehow leaping at an incredible height. This looks like a very old picture, and so it is unlikely special effects were employed, leading us to consider the possibility of real witchcraft going on within this frame. Do you have a fear of fire? Well, look away now, as this next picture is pretty shocking. In it, we see a man holding what seems to be an oven lighter after setting himself ablaze. It should of course be mentioned that he does seem to be wearing both a fire suit as well as protective gloves and a face guard, so it was likely this was taken during a stunt test for a movie or TV show, and ended up on the deep web years later. Even still, without a confirmed origin, and considering the circumstances of its discovery, it is still pretty shocking. Another shockingly effective jump scare image can be seen here, where it appears a woman cosplayed and her photograph was taken and then tweaked to alter her face. She now has insanely wide eyes with massive pupils and an enormous grin. At least I hope this image was edited. I couldn't find the original, and as this was unearthed on the deep web, it is another strange mystery lost forever to the depths of the internet. Do you ever find masks to be super creepy? Then this picture isn't for you. It shows two men and two women, perhaps couples, well dressed and each holding a ghastly looking mask. All of these masks look miserable and contorted, almost demonic. The four people seem to be wearing these masks on their faces too. At least I hope they are. It is creepy thinking about why exactly this picture was taken and the circumstances surrounding the people within it. Were they involved, perhaps, in some kind of dangerous cult? Speaking of masks, this next deep web image shows two children who sit in a dingy and darkened room wearing a pair of hideously weird ones. This image gets even creepier as it appears the children have had their hands tied behind their backs. Are they being held captive, or was this simply some kind of awfully misjudged Halloween photo? Let's hope their mother was behind the camera. In this next picture we see a man painted red and wearing a scary demon mask. He stares directly into the camera lens. This actually comes from a highly creepy deep web GIF. Check it out. While there is nothing inherently wrong with this image, it still seems deeply unsettling, especially if you look at it for extended periods of time. This photograph was discovered on the deep web several years ago, and many people thought it showed a murder victim and was taken as part of a snuff film. It does look incredibly realistic at first glance. It was even scarier before context was given years later. This photograph is actually a still from a short film by a special effects artist known as Remy Couture. Remy has worked on many films over the years, creating realistic gore, and this was simply a photograph from his showreel that was found on the deep web and assumed to be something from a crime scene. However, the reality is, it is just a creepy image.